and it has done that and then some. I literally made it to take pictures of the cytology at my veterinary practice so that I could put them in my paper files back then. And now we drop them into our electronic files. And then over time, it just found new and improved uses every day. It made it so easy for me to show my staff, my technicians that work for me, if we saw something and wanted to kind of go over it, I knew they were looking at the same thing I was because we're looking at a little screen together. But it was a little screen that we could take pictures, we could text them, we could email those pictures, we could do so many things. It quickly turned into a way for me to bring my staff, or not my staff, my clientele back. And even if they weren't here, I could text them that picture or email them just to help make that real to them so that they knew exactly what we were talking about that day. Over time, it became a very easy way for us to take those pictures and drop into social media as a way for us to educate our clientele to things that are working or happening in our area. It's not just something I'm talking about that it could be. I was showing them something that was, and it's something in our general area. About 2017 is when kind of a light bulb went off. I had a case we were doing surgery on, and one of my closest friends is a veterinary pathologist, and I had a surgery. I was taking this really big mass off a dog, and I was concerned about my margins. And so while the dog was still anesthetized and I hadn't even closed up surgery, I made a couple slides really quickly, sent him a message. And so through FaceTime, we looked at some pathology. He was about 500 miles away from me at the time, but in real time, we were able to decide that there were some neoplastic cells still in that margin. And it gave me an opportunity to go in and make that margin a little bit bigger and make it a much more, make it a lot better outcome for my pet and not have to come back and do a whole nother surgery, probably months down the road. We were able to do it right then. And that's when it was just like, wow, this is pretty amazing that we're just doing this through this little microscope here in my office and my cell phone. And so about that time, the company that I was actually using a case found me on social media, and we talked about the possibilities of which I wasn't really that interested at the time because I'm a practicing veterinarian. I own a practice. I'm a husband. I'm an active dad, and I wasn't going to give any of that up. And so we talked about it a long time, but prayed about it a lot. And here we are. That was 2018. Here we are about 4 years later. And it's pretty crazy where it's gone. We, you don't know how much you guys know about our product itself, but it starts with a phone case. I think I got it upside down here, but it starts with a phone case that my phone just lives in. We have custom cases we make for pretty much every type of popular phone, iPhone and Android. We also have universal cases. These are made to just go over the phone, and then you got to toggle this to make it line up with the camera you want. But we have both custom and universal cases, and they both have their place for practice. I have each of them here in my work. I've got my phone in mine, but I have a universal in here as well for any of the workers. If they have something that I need to see and I'm not here, anybody can take a picture through our microscope and send it to me, and they do. Once you have your case can be an everyday phone case. It comes with this and a little disc, and the disc is made to, it just pops in. I'm trying to do this backwards here. It just snaps in here, and so it lines up the camera. I'm just trying to get the pictures right that we want to utilize. And once we have that, we've got our microscope adapter, and our microscope adapter is this plastic disc with an eyepiece within it, and the eyepiece can move. You can take the eyepiece in and out, and sometimes you need to do that because what we've learned with certain phone types is every phone camera has a different focal length, and so most just need this flat, but sometimes you need to push it in just ever so slightly, have a little bit of a divot in here, and that will allow your camera to focus properly on your image in your microscope. And so you've got these two things, you just marry them together, just twist it on there, and so it's now lined up. and that is made to replace the eyepiece like on this microscope. And so there's a couple things you need to know. You need to know what size microscope you have. Most microscopes are going to be 23 millimeters or 30. That means this piece right here. You know, you can take a normal ruler, I have to try to get that close by, and just measure how big that is. It's going to go into the microscope. Like I said, most microscopes are 23 millimeters. There's a lot that are 30. There's going to be a lot bigger. If we make both of those, there's one company that has a 28 millimeter that they make their own, which has been a little frustrating to me, but that's okay. We're working on that and we have answers for that. So we're going to quickly figure out that over the next couple months, and that way we'll literally cover every microscope known out there. So once we have that on there, this is just made to replace that eyepiece. I'll turn this around, everybody can see it. And so it just gives you a really easy way to use this as a viewer. It's a way for us to teach through or take pictures. You can use your optical zoom to get even closer to those specimens. You drive it just like you would drive your normal. I'm going to focus it here, but you can just drive it around. These are ear mites a cat donated to us just a few minutes ago, actually. It's nice of him. It's kind of like backing a boat trailer. I don't know if you guys have boats, but backing a boat trailer in your mirror, it's about the same way here. And you can just get in close as you want with the digital zoom. You know, we launched this business not very long ago. Actually, we've been working on it for a really long time, but launched it last June. And it's been amazing to me where we've gone from there. I mean, I literally went from the Atlantic coast to Pacific coast in different shows last year talking about this. I've been to St. Louis, Nashville, San Antonio. We have these in multiple vet tech colleges already as a teaching platform. I'm going to turn this, it's going to drive people crazy. As a teaching platform, we have it about 400 vet clinics that are using it for multiple different reasons. We have human pathologists, we have geologists, we have a wide array of people using this on microscopes for data collection and for teaching. And it's just kind of blown me away about that. You know, we created this app. Let's go back and I'll kind of show you this while we're talking. In this app, we did several things. We tried to figure out, you know, I knew what I needed as a veterinarian to take better pictures, or what I'd hope to have. But I did go ahead and have some meetings with educators that taught me and just said, hey, what are problems you have working with a microscope? And it was interesting listening to their problems because they just use their microscope different than me. And so one of the takeaways was wanted a better way to educate through a microscope. And I knew what that meant to me, teaching my clients, teaching my staff. But it's different when you're talking about teaching 100 people in a class or 20 people in a class, or people that you may never see in person that are going to be virtual. And so listening to that problem gave me something else to work on in my mind. And then the other big takeaway was size. When people take pictures and send them to somebody else, you know probably what magnification that was in, but when they receive it, they don't know, and they can't always take your word for it. So we wanted to put in a couple of things. We wanted to generate a way to magnify and measure with accuracy. And that was a pretty frustrating thing to work through. As a matter of fact, it took us 26 months to figure out how to do that every time and feel good about those results. And so what that ended up with, bring this back around, is up here, you'll see there's a little, I think right there, you can't really see it. Let's see if I can change that a little bit. just do like this. Nope, that's not going to work. Anyway, on that screen, it has a place for you to put in the power that you're looking at. So we've got a 15 power eyepiece up here, and I'm at 4 power down low. So you put those parameters in, but it also has a calibration factor. It's this little number right there. You can kind of see it on your screen. And that is so that I can toggle that number one way or the other and make that micrometer match up with a micrometer on your slide, on your stage. And that way, if you want to know that this is micron to micron, if you have a micrometer slide, you can literally calibrate this to the micron, to infinity power. And then whenever you take these pictures, let's say this one's for mine, by the way, but you're going to have a scale on the screen that you can see. Well, that scale, when you take a picture, that scale is stamped onto the picture or the video so that that is kept on there so that you can show that that's what you're at. It will also print up here on the top the actual power it's at, and that power will be even with the digital zoom. When I do the digital zoom, you'll see the micrometer change because it's keeping pace with your digital zoom on top of your mechanical zoom that's on your machine here. So it's a pretty cool thing. I mean, we worked really hard. That's a lot of my nights of my life for 2 years was trying to figure out how to make that work. And so we're really proud of that. The other thing we did, let's get rid of that, is you'll see there's 3 little dots right here. Right, no, not there. Right here. Again, you can't see it because it's whited out on the screen. I hate that. But it shows a one-to-one, a one-to-many, and an audience on our app. And what that is for me to be able to send a link. A one-to-one would be like me sending out a Zoom link to Jess, and she and I just speaking about it, just like she's right there. She could be who knows where. She can be in New Jersey, which I think is where she's at. But she's literally there in my microscope with me here in Oklahoma, and we could talk through a consultation and she would know exactly what I'm looking at. The one-to-many function is what would be most useful in a classroom setting. That is made where I can send out the link. I can email that. I can text that to a whole group that here is the link that I'm using right now in my microscope. And then those students can then put that into their audience of their app, and they can then be there. And they can be sitting in the classroom doing that right there at the same time, or they could be virtual. They could be anywhere and still be getting the same view that you are in the classroom itself, which I know when I was in veterinary school, that would have been much easier than 8 of us at a time on a multi-headed scope. If we could all 100 people been sitting there looking at the same time, that would have been more efficient, and we probably could have learned a few more things. But in the world we live in today, in the world of COVID, we don't always know we're always going to be there. And there's more and more of these programs that can teach virtually. COVID did teach us some new tricks, and so we might as well utilize those new tricks. And so if you're in a situation where you're teaching virtually, you could be on a format where we could be speaking in Google Classroom, just like we are right now. But on our phone could be the microscope, and you could be looking at the microscope while the teacher is there in person on a screen. So it just is another avenue that we can utilize to improve the educational process and help you guys be more efficient. Felt like I rambled on there for a long time, but I felt like I was on a roll, so I just kept going. So I wish there was a ton of you guys here, but Shay, Jackie, do you have questions or places you can steer me?
Ooh, well, Jackie is.
Hey,
There she is.
Okay. There she is.
Woo!
I'm here. I was eating lunch and nobody wants to watch that.
Nah, that's okay. I'm jealous. What question, so ask me some questions. I mean, I'm sure you hopefully have something, and I bet there's other people out there would have the same question. So let's hear it.
I'm just curious, when you share the
Mhm.
link with
Mhm.
students,
Yes.
are they able to do any sort of manipulations with it? Can they take pictures from that link? Can they save that link? any of those things?
Not right now, but I am open. I like this kind of thing because there people put thoughts in my head that who knows what they turn into. But right now, the answer would be no. It literally, they are screen sharing with you. They are able to see exactly what you see, and they are able to listen to you, but they are not able to speak back, at least through the app. Now, if you're on a Google Classroom, I'm sure there's a microphone situation that they can, but we're having so much problem with feedback when you had multiple people on a feed like that, that it just didn't, it was going to be very frustrating. And so on the one-to-one, both people can speak. On the one-to-many, only the person delivering is able to speak. We're working on a couple of different ideas. We're working on like a chat box because I could see that be useful. We're working on that to be able to draw on the screen and then be able to see it. So if you're like saying, hey, I want you to see this individual group of cells, we're working on the next steps. We're just kind of trying to figure out like what is the most useful in all these different avenues. But those are the two we've liked so far, as chat box and able to draw on the actual screen.
Okay.
I guess they could actually screenshot it. They could take a screenshot. If you had a thing, you could say, hey, okay, everybody take a picture of this. I know that the person sending it out I can hit record, like I'm going to record a video sequence, and I can record the whole thing because I've done that. So
Okay.
you can record it. So I guess you could always go back and say, okay, I can listen through my meeting and screenshot individual pictures for quizzes or tests or something. Cause hey, I said that, I've got it recorded.
Okay. That sounds good. I was just thinking too, if I take the link, I could probably make it into a YouTube video and then post it for them.
There's no doubt you could do that. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
No
I
problem.
like one thing I like about it is we teach them how to take pictures now.
Yes,
And for
that's
some
good.
students, they just pick it up just super quick.
Right.
And then there's other students, I feel like we're helping them. And we use the pool noodles and
Oh
the
yeah. Hey,
whole 9 yards. And some of them take amazing pictures.
we've
And then,
we've made all those, the toilet paper technique and the pool noodles, and we made them all to kind of like show people, like, okay, here's this, here's that. But what I do in my practice, I almost always use video. And I don't know that I can show this. Let's just see here. Let's just go here. Let's just go. So when you're taking a picture, so this is just my normal iPhone. All right. When you try to do your digital zoom, most phones at about 2 kick off or start freaking out. Of course, it's not going to do it on this one, but you can see, let's go back to 1. You can see how big that image is. But if you just go to video, it automatically is a bigger image. I don't know why that is, but it always is. And so I always recommend that. And then on like this one, once you get to about 6, I think my iPhone kicks off at 6. So it's 6. Okay. It's the same phone, but on our app, what we've done is unlocked the full potential. I'm gonna try to get this mic perfectly centered. Try to unlock the full potential of our phones. And so my phone says that it can only video to 6 power, right? Everybody saw that. Well, I can go to 10 power with my app. And so I'm at 10 power on top of, you look at his little leg right there, on top of what my microscope normally do. So I'm at 600 power just using my lowest objective on here. So the free, and that's on the free version of the app. And so I think we should go over that in a second too. But the app does help take better pictures, and it's got able on the side to toggle my lighting as well. I can toggle my light on the screen, not just my lighting down low. I can find my stuff here. I can adjust my light here, but I can also adjust it on the screen. But, that's, Jackie, you guys teaching them to take pictures is great, because the one thing I've realized, especially this last year, once I jumped out of my comfort zone, and I'm not just a veterinarian in Ardmore, Oklahoma, seeing people that I grew up around. I am going across the country talking to microscope people and digital pathologists from all over. The technicians you guys are teaching right now, over the next 10 years, digital pathology is going to be a big part of veterinary medicine in the next 10 years. It already is with people like Scopio and IDEX and Heska and all their big scanners. That's coming. And so we need to know how to take good images. We need to know what images are worthwhile. You know, the one thing when I send a video to a pathologist, I will video at low power the whole slide, you know, show them kind of what it looks like, and then I'll come in and I will video majority of the slide at higher power, where they can put it on their computer and blow it up. And then I have done this long enough, I'll go in and I'll know, like, okay, this is of interest and this is of interest and this is of interest, and I'll go in and I will crop out pictures from my video, like these are representative cells. And so being able to take a good image and knowing what makes sense is going to be a big thing in the next decade, a really big thing. So I'm glad to hear that, and I'm hopeful that we can help with that along the way. Shay, you got any questions? And Jackie, you keep thinking. But...
There is a question from Christy in the chat.
Okay, cool.
She would like to know if the app can be used with an iPad or tablet, since that's what they use for clinical labs on campus.
Okay, so yes and no. So do you mean on the microscope, or do you mean looking at an image? I guess she's not here, so she said no. What you can do, so
she's here. She's here.
Hey, there she is.
I just have to unmute myself. Yeah, it's, I don't know. Well, I was looking on there because I have a terribly old phone. All the students have nicer phones than me.
It's okay.
Which, whatever. I'm attached to this one. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just cheap, but whatever.
Well, you'd be shocked. We probably have solutions for your phone. But
yeah, I went and Googled it, and
yeah,
and yeah, there's tons of options for the phone. But I was thinking, you know, I'm not the only instructor in the lab, and we do have iPads that follow our labs along, and then students could use it. We could use it. I don't exactly know.
So
all
the best
capabilities, but I was just wondering about, like, then nobody has to, oh, I have that one, you can't use my phone or whatever. I don't know.
Here's the solution. Here's the solution. So I'm going to answer your first question, and I'm going to answer a question you didn't ask me. And so the first question is, we don't have cases for iPads just because they're too heavy and they end up tipping down and you don't get a good image. So we don't make cases for iPads. You can, however, put the app onto an iPad and review, or like have that sent to the iPad, or screen mirrored. If you depending on how tech savvy you are, most electronics, if you're on the same Wi-Fi, especially with Apple products, you can screen mirror to that other device. I'm not the world's greatest at that, but that is something you most definitely can do. What I would recommend in a situation like that would be to have one of our universal cases in the lab, and that works the same way this one does. I'm just going to pop this all apart real quick. And so what you would do is you would just put the phone case. This is going to be a case on a case, but that's okay. You just line up the camera. In this case is my top camera. So I get the phone all set up here. This we call it a lollipop. That's kind of what it looks like. And then everybody's phone then could go on here. Just get this back set up. You know, in a situation where you've got multiple users, you got to figure out how to get it lined up. Let me line it up. You know, you still get the same outcome. It's a little back in that boat in again. it's a little slower as far as me getting it lined up. It's not that much slower. And so that would be something in a laboratory setting or in a classroom setting, having a universal adapter there for students or otherwise is a really good way to go about it. That way you're not going, oh my gosh, I got to leave my phone at the microscope. You don't have to, you just leave the adapter there. And that way they can go in there and take pictures after class so they can go back and study and review those images you wanted to see. It's, again, it's a little slower, but it most definitely works. Did I answer your question, I hope?
Yeah, you bet. That sounds great. And I really like the idea of screen mirroring too, to then the group of our lab sizes are up to 20. You know,
Sure.
it's pretty small class sizes, but
still, that's 20 people.
Yeah. And so hanging out around an iPhone doesn't really help.
No, but if you can send that,
But,
or
yes.
you could send the link and everybody can be looking at it live, even if they're in the same room, that's a
Oh, for
possibility
sure.
too. One thing that I went to multiple colleges this last year, and I got to see a lot of different ways to skin in the same cat. And one thing that's pretty neat is all the different, you know, a lot of our smart boards still have a hardwired attachment. Some of them are HDMIs, some of them are a little bit VGI cables. And so what we were doing is I was going in and I had these little lightning adapters so I can connect right into my smartphone and then connect this right into the smart board of the classroom. And it could be on the big screen in the room. And so you could, that's another idea. If you have the ability to just take a microscope into the main room, it can literally be sitting on the desk, shot up on the wall so everybody can see at the same time. Let's see if I can find a little bit more. Jess, you got another question while I'm playing here?
I do. So Sam on Facebook would like to know, well, she says, so the piece we purchase is the part that clips onto the phone, or we also pay to use the app or software?
Great question and great segue. So yes, you would need a phone case, whether that be universal or custom. And then you would have the eyepiece, and they come to, you know, you just tell us what you need, and we just put those two things together and they go out. When we send those out, what we're doing now, if you know you have a 30 millimeter microscope, if you just say we want a 30 millimeter, that's what we send you. We've also realized over the last year is not everybody knows what type of microscope you have. And so what we've done is whenever somebody sends us a 23, we have these little shims that'll go over and it'll also make it a 30. And so anytime we send a 23, it comes with a 30 right now. The app, so when you download the app, you have the base app, which is the ability to take all those pictures a little bit more efficiently. You have the ability to change the lighting, the digital zoom is all just free. The things that cost us, which was keeping the patent going on a micrometer, is a paid function. And then the broadcast ability is a paid function, and it's a paid function from the person sending the broadcast. The ability to accept a broadcast is free. And I looked at this a lot of different ways. I was a student. It already costs a lot to be a student. And so we don't want them to incur any more costs if we don't have to. And so accepting a broadcast is always free. And as far as I'm concerned, will always be free. We're working on ability to, and Kiara can unmute and jump in here if I say something wrong, but right now we're working on where if you're an educator and you purchase the app through a .edu website, we're working on making that half price. And so what that would mean would be around $49 a year to be able to broadcast that for the whole year. And
yeah,
so
any education email that's, like you said, got the .edu.
Yep.
We'll verify it and we'll give you a little code. And so when you download, so Cade, you can show it. If you hit the little diamond in the corner there, it'll pull up that. So he's already upgraded to the premium.
Yeah.
Um,
And there'll
but
be
there's a
there'll
little spot
be a
for
little
a
code right
coupon.
here.
Mhm.
Yep. And you just put it in,
Yep.
it'd be 50% off coupons.
Yep.
So Kiara will be the one that's going to help us get that taken care of. But I come from a long line of teachers. My mom, my mother-in-law, my grandmother, all were teachers. And my dad had a teaching degree. He just didn't go that route. But I have a lot of teachers in my blood, and I'm trying to do everything I can to help that process. And so if that means I can discount things, we're going to do that. So I hope that answers your question, but there is paid and there is free versions of that.
She just followed up with another question.
Let's hear it.
Our microscope oculars don't come out like that. They're screwed on. Is that common?
It is. There's some of them have a little bitty set screw right here that it just literally screw it out just a couple ways and it'll slide in and out the same way. There's multiple companies have that one little screw, and I would just take out one eyepiece is what I would do. I like to do the left side, but it doesn't really matter. I use it because a lot of times we'll do this in landscape, is what I call it. I like to put mine about like, get it set up. I like to look at mine like that. My brain just likes that better. And so that's why I use that eyepiece. But yeah, just unscrew that little toggle. Mine did too. It's right there. I've just taken it out so that I can pull that eyepiece in and out. I still like to look at my microscope the normal way. It's just when I want to teach through it or take pictures, I take that piece out. And there's some days I hate my glasses and I want to just not wear them, and I can use my phone as a viewer and I can not have my glasses on.
Some days I also don't like wearing my glasses.
I hate wearing my
Unfortunately, I'm pretty much
glasses.
blind without them.
Yeah, I hate them. So, okay, what else? We got another question?
Marion says that she's in Ontario, Canada, and they don't
Mhm.
have a .edu email. So how can they access the opportunity?
We will figure that out. Kiara, do you have an answer there? You unmuted yourself.
Yeah, just email me.
Yeah, just email Kiara.
it's really easy.
If you will just email info@skokedmicro.com, we'll believe you. How's that? If we will just believe you and we will help you. And so, but info@Skoped Micro, and our Skoped is with a K, skokedmicro.com. And Kiara will probably be the one that fills that. If not, it'll probably fall on me and we'll figure it out. But yes, Marianne, we believe you.
Yeah. And because we're so small, I'll put my email in here as well in the chat. And I sent that directly to Jess. Jess, do you mind sending that to everyone? And then, yeah, whatever we need to do, we can send you information about the education program in total and get you all of the details that we've talked about.
Okay. Jackie, you got another question for me yet? Or I'm going to keep picking on you. I can see you.
Not yet. I'm about to go mute again.
All right.
No, I'm
That's
just
okay.
kidding. Yeah. No, I don't.
Okay.
I think it's a really good idea.
We're working with a couple of different companies about working on actual ways to do pathology through this device. So that's probably something in the future. We're always looking at the next step, how to help. With you guys, I can tell you we're working on a endoscope attachment to be able to teach endoscopy. You could do it through the same app, and so we wouldn't need the measurement device, but you could screen share. You could take pictures and videos right through an endoscope. I have the only working apparatus right now in my office that we're playing with, and we're going to try making some new ones later this week. I'm flying out to Utah to work strictly on that. Also with an ophthalmoscope, not ophthalmoscope, otoscope as well. Just another way to take pictures and show people what we're actually seeing. It's hard to hold it and show somebody. And so if we could take some videos, that would be very helpful in a lot of different avenues. Jess, any more questions? Oh, go for it. Go for it.
I was
Jackie.
just going to say, I teach students how to, we have like a camera. We actually have 3 of them in our facility. So when I first got it, I actually used it to take Zoom video of me doing a differential.
Yeah.
And that
Yes.
worked pretty well. It felt kind of clunky. I think this looks like it would be a little less clunky. The technology is a little bit different. And so I feel like it.
So the one thing, so I went to a college vet tech school last August or September. I can't remember exactly. It's all running together in my brain, but it's pretty cool. They had a camera set up on a microscope that could be hooked right into their HDMI cable to write them to be able to teach it. And so I saw it as an opportunity, as I had a true head-to-head competition, and I love competition. And so I was like, well, let's hook that up, and I want to see how it works. And their frustration was there was a lag when they were moving the stage from the camera to the cable to the screen. There was a little bit, when she moved, there was a lag, and that was very frustrating. And the other thing that was very obvious was the colors that we're used to seeing through these microscopes versus that camera and being sent up on a screen. The cameras, the color just wasn't right. I don't know how else to say it. It just wasn't what we're normally used to seeing. But when we, at the exact same time, had my camera thing set up on the eyepiece, we had a camera here and we had my phone on the front, and we did it side by side. There was no lag, same HDMI cable. There was no lag, and the color was the exact same color we're used to.
Right.
And so that was pretty interesting to me. I don't know if that's across the board. I think this was a Nikon setup, if I recall. Great camera, but when you compared them, there was no contest, which was pretty cool for me, because what I always tell people is you already own the most expensive things. We all have a computer in our pocket. We all have one. And we all almost, that's at least here, maybe not Jess, but we all have our microscope we're used to using. And this is just a different way. We just we're just the conduit that syncs the two together, you know, and if you don't use the app, it doesn't hurt my feelings. It's just the app is there to another tool to help you make it easier. Yeah. Here, our cameras are awesome. And our newer cameras, I've got an iPhone 11, and I saw a guy with a 13 at the last show, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think it could get better, but it was unbelievable. And so, yeah, we're just the conduit to make it easier to do what we already do.
Great, thank you.
The Justice thinks I haven't seen anybody jump up on the chat yet. So if somebody comes in on chat, just flag me down, but I'm just going to talk about a couple different things. So we have teamed up with the AVTE on a couple different things. I was out there, and not sure what's going on in the background, but I was there at the national show and spoke about this last year. I'm planning on being back this next year in Philadelphia to do it again. We've also teamed up to form a scholarship to give back, again, trying to give back to students and teachers alike. And we have a code that if you decide you do want to purchase after listening to this or a month down the road and remember this again, the code AVTE, and Kiara, Jess and I talked, we're going to go with the new code, AVTE 2210. AVTE 2210. And what that is it is 10% discount to anybody that purchases, period. But we're also giving back 10% of that sale to the AVTE to generate a scholarship at the national convention. And so we'll be doing that all year. That's not just for this talk. Jess has got permission to put it out anytime she wants to, just to help generate something going forward. And so we came up with that, several months back, but we also at that national show had put together an education package where we were doing that same thing for individual schools. And so if you are a school and you see a way that this could help you as a school, whether that be, what we were doing for schools is you would just go on, you buy your custom case, and it would come with whatever you need to make you successful. You buy that, we will give you one of these. If you're in our teaching pilot, I don't remember what we called that. What did we had a term for that program.
The educational pilot program.
There you go, the educational pilot program. So what we did was, if you said, hey, I want in on this, what we were doing is we figured out what custom case you needed. We just gave you one of these. That way, when you get there and the other teacher is jealous, you can just say, you got to use the lollipop, or you have it in your classroom for your students, whatever, however this can help you. Then once we've got you in the program, if you had a situation where you thought, okay, this is going to help my second-year students, and when they leave here, they can take this to their practice life and be a bigger asset to a practice like mine, then we use that discount code to give them 10% off and get you 10% back. And we just make a scholarship for your individual program. So if you're interested in that, just like we said earlier, Kiera, she's put her email out there, I think somewhere, info@skokedmicro.com. We're here to help you guys. I wouldn't be me if I didn't have teachers like you. And so if that's something that's helpful, use it. If it's not helpful, still do the thing and get a free lollipop. It's a pretty good program no matter what. But there's ways there's just other ways to do it. I know there's some programs that I'll never want to do that. And there's some that will probably call me tomorrow. And that's cool. I look forward to hearing from you. But if there's a way that you think of, you dream something up that you think that would be cool for your program that we might be able to make, call us. If you find out you've got the weirdest eyepiece on earth and you can't figure out how we're going to help you with yours, send us an eyepiece. We'll just make you one. We'll just hand make it. So we're a small company and we can do a lot of things that a big company can't do, which is good and bad. But we've already handmade a couple. Kiera, I think I know we handmade one last fall for somebody that had the weirdest eyepiece ever. So
yeah, if you have the what is it, the Labomed?
Yeah,
500 or something.
There's a Labomed eyepiece. It's a 28 millimeter that I just want to choke the guy that made that. But I get it because what they did was they found a way that if you have to buy it, you can't just go buy it from, eBay. You've got to buy it from Labomed, which good for them. We're going to figure out a way to bridge that gap. But if we need to hand make you one, we'll do it. We can and we will. Jess, what do you got? You got anything else?
Well, Marion just said that they have the Labomed scopes.
Yeah, I saw that. So
Marion, we've got you covered. You're fine.
So Marion, not all of them are 28s though. Not all of them. So what you need to do is you just need to go on, get a ruler, get a caliper, measure the little piece that goes in the microscope, this piece, and figure out what that is. And so if it's a 23 or 30, don't worry about it. We've got you set. We've already got it made. If it's a 28, call Kiera. We'll figure it out. We're working on that as we speak, but we can figure that out. I played with 2 or 3 Labomed scopes last year, and some of them had 23s, some had 28s. Some of them had a port at the top for a camera system that actually fit a 23, which is weird because usually those are 30s. And so we were literally just top porting it. to take pictures at that university. But there's a way to do that. And so we can figure it out. Not super nervous about it, but there's a way. And again, hopefully in the not too near future or not too distant future, we will have that where that's not a problem at all. So. Marion, you there?
Yeah, I am. Thank you. I just, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Oh, wonderful. We do have a device that we're currently using. It is the cell pad. And I love the cell pad. Though it's getting a little archaic and a little fussy. We call it Walter, because when we turn it on, is Walter, the name Walter comes up, but it's like a tablet, like an Android tablet. And it fits beautifully into our Labomed, as well as it does come with a
little adapter.
Yeah, like an O-ring to put in. We also have a Zeiss microscope, different size eyepiece, and that O-ring goes into that eyepiece, and so it can fit snugly. And we do have our let's say our teaching microscope is connected to a number of TV monitors in the lab, so we can just put our device right into the microscope, and it shows across to the.
So you're screen sharing. You're screen sharing through that.
Right. It's through our WiDi applicator, because we don't have Wi-Fi in that lab.
Right.
So it is kind of cumbersome to if I have something on but I can save it to Jump Drive, or I can save it to the actual like the tablet basically, and then I can move pictures wherever I want, or video. It has video as well.
You could do the same thing through your phone.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And then,
but I find
so
that
on your Zeiss, that eyepiece, does it fit the eyepiece, the Zeiss and the Labomed?
Well, yeah, I have to put like an O-ring.
A different O-ring.
Yeah, into.
So the Zeiss is bigger?
It is larger. Yeah, I'm not sure what size it is, but it's.
I would be willing to bet you anything it's a 30. Almost all Zeiss are 30.
So would that O-ring fit with the Skoped device as well, or would it be better just to get the proper size?
That's a great question. What I would do, I need to look, I wish I could see it. I might have you take a picture and just send me a picture of that adapter you have.
Sure.
Does it have an eyepiece in there? Or is it just
no, it's just like looks like a ring you put on your finger.
Okay.
And it just fits into, you take the eyepiece out, and then it fits into it
slides over that.
It slides inside. So it slides inside because it's larger, so it makes it narrower for Walter to fit inside. That sounds very
again, if it's a 28, again, we don't have that answer like custom fit yet. We're working on it. We have the plan. It's just not in hand yet.
Right.
The Zeiss is no doubt it's going to be a 30. And so I don't know. I bet you our luck, that's probably a 28 millimeter Labomed. Is it a lot bigger? The shim you put in, is it a lot bigger that you make it?
No. And they sent us 2 different sizes.
Yeah, they made
came with the cell ePad, and I only need one size that fits the Zeiss, and so oh gosh,
you may have a 23 millimeter Labomed, because otherwise I think they'd have a problem fitting that too. But yeah, I'd like to know, and so you're welcome to email me. I'm easy. I'm Cade. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I'm easy. Email me at Cade, CADE at Skoped Micro. You can just take a picture and send that to me, and I'll work on that with you personally. We'll figure it out.
Skoped Micro, wonderful. I'll take a picture. I have notes everywhere here. Okay, picture and send.
Yeah, and measure that eyepiece. I'd want to know what the bottom of that eyepiece is, the piece that goes into the microscope. That's what you measure.
Right.
One thing I get people all the time, they call me and they'll say, I don't know if you can see this. So it
Yep.
says my IP says 10x by 18. That's the measurement of the glass.
Oh,
across
right.
here.
Okay.
And people all the time are like, hey, I've got a 20 millimeter. I've got an 18 millimeter. Like, no, you don't. you
Yeah.
don't. And so you have to measure them. And even when I go online, I have people all the time. Not just people are buying them, but Kiara or some of the other people like, hey, they sent me this microscope type. Do you know which piece? Like, no, I don't know what piece. And so I'll go onto eBay, like I'm going to buy that piece. And
Oh,
even there, it's hard to find that
yeah.
measurement, but it's generally there because
Right.
most of those pieces are interchangeable. And so that's why literally around the world, it's 23.2 millimeter or 30 millimeter. I mean, that is the gold standards. And that way, if you're in China building 1 million of these things, you want one size, right? And so that's why I was so frustrated when I found Labomed was making that one individually, and that goes back a long time. I put one of our setups on a 1940 AO microscope about 2 weeks ago, and it was 23 millimeter. It just fit right in there. It probably fit as snug as any I've ever put in there. It's just so well made, but 23.2 millimeters is what most microscopes are going to be. And then that's why we're on our 23 kits, we're just putting a 30 shim in those. They're just going to get it. That we just know that, especially in a teaching situation.
I think ours is 23 because we have other microscopes in our lab. We have a lot older ones that we keep for just setting up for stations for them to look at, but not really for them to use as their student bench. And Walter fits nice in all of those.
I bet it's 23.
And I would think I'll measure anyways, but it's the Zeiss for sure, because we do have to have a separate O-ring that has to go in to fit. So
I was messaging last night with a Zeiss, a worker from Zeiss, and we were talking about almost all theirs are 30s. So I'm confident that's a 30. So I would get a 23 kit and just we'll have the 30 shim in there and it'll fit both of them.
Okay.
Really well. And
thank you.
The only difference when you buy a 30 millimeter, the bell on that, the bottom, it's going to get just a little bit bigger field of view. And when you put the shim on a 23, it's just a little narrower, but you'll never know it. I mean, the only time I know is when I've taken side-by-side pictures and just looked at like, oh, wow, what am I missing? Well, I'm not missing anything because my eye's looking right in the middle and I'll move the stage over. So I don't think there's a lot of loss there in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I see that with when I put the little O-ring into the Zeiss. Yeah, I see this very same thing with using Walter for sure.
Marion, where do you teach at? Where are you up there?
We're in Ridgetown, Ontario. I teach at the University of Guelph, Ridgetown campus.
Guelph. Yeah. Okay. One of the ladies that taught me in vet school she went to school in Guelph. Oh, wonderful. She's still at OSU. She was, I really like her, but she was sure mean. She would get her bluff in on you really quick, but I love her to death. I talk to her still to this day, but man, but she loved Guelph and talked about it all the time.
So do we. Thanks.
Awesome. Jess, what else you got for me? Anything?
I don't have any more questions in the chat or anything, unless anyone has anything. They can feel free to unmute themselves and ask.
Shay, do you have anything? It's gonna be quiet.
I don't have any questions, but I think this product is amazing, and like what you can do in clinic with client education and just kind of reinforcing the quality of care. So I appreciate you working so hard to make this for everyone. So
well, clinically, that's for me, that's where it shines because I use it every day to make things real. I can go in and tell them, oh, look, there's ear mites in your cat. And they don't know what that means. The ear mites that donated here, this one's actually from a rabbit today. And I have another slide over here from a cat. So I had 2 ear mite cases this morning from 2 different species. And so it just makes it real. Or I do a lot of ear cytology. So I can show them the Malassezia yeast, or we can talk about rod bacteria. And it just makes that so much realer Or, you know, the other slide I've got sitting right here is a terrible lymphoma case. And so when you're having that talk, you can show them that. And so it's not just something I'm talking about. They can be a part of that. And, you know, during COVID, when it was just raging, I mean, it's not so great right now, but when it was raging and we were just, we were here, felt like trapped prisoners, and the people would pull up and you'd bring the dog in and, or cat or whatever, and you would do that. And so what we did then was I was using our clinic cell phone. So I've got this phone over here, the bat phone that people call me on the weekend. We would take pictures through it using a lollipop, and then the client would be sitting outside. And so I would call them and send them videos to their phone. So they would have it. And then most of my staff would stay inside and call people on the phone, but I couldn't do that. I like to talk to people. I talk too much, but I would just walk outside, mask up like I'm going to the moon or something, so that I could see them. They're people in my parking lot. I can't call you on the phone, but they could have that image there, and I'd be 7 feet away from them, and we could talk through what that is and how we're going to make that better. And that would also give me a chance to, when they came back for a recheck, they wanted another picture. And so I would send them the after picture so they could see, like, here's what we did, here's what we made better, or here's why we need to keep going. And so it's clinically, it's a game changer for my practice. I mean, I've gone from a 1 doctor practice when I made this thing to I need to be a 4 doctor practice. I have 2 other doctors, and I'm not saying it's all cytology, but some of it is. Some of it is the ability for me to better explain, have more educated clients, to know what's going on, for me to put on these social media educational little blips. I need to do more, but I do too much social media as it is. But my office is Carter County Animal Hospital in Ardmore, Oklahoma. But Carter County Animal Hospital social media is on Instagram and Facebook. You can look at my ideas and steal them. If it helps you clinically, take them. You know, I think it's just a really good way to educate. And it's also something that the young people that you guys are teaching, we live in a world of social media, and a lot of it's not great, but if we can use it for good, let's use it. And so it's free marketing as well. So there probably should be a class about how to utilize social media, at least a week in vet tech world, because it's here and it's generally free. And so they need to use that for a good platform as well.
I agree. I always encourage my students to make sure that they stress the importance and exactly why we are doing those things. And I have always used pictures in practice. So I encourage them to make sure they're showing their clients those things. So awesome. Yeah, I think this is great. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, Shay. I like videos too. Like I said earlier, I almost always take videos, and I try to take them for a minute. And the reason I do that is 1 minute and less uploads really well on social media. And it also uploads pretty well to most software. And then I can show, you know, the little microfilaria wiggling or an ear mite or whatever. I like showing motion. And then also when you're taking pictures of things that are moving, and that can be a flatworm, you know, if in research, or that can be microfilaria or any of these little creatures. When you're trying to take a picture of something moving, it doesn't work very well. And so if I take a video, I can slow that down, and then I can screenshot the perfect picture out of that, you know, 30-second video. And so I have people all the time say, wow, you took how did you take that perfect picture? I'm like, well, I didn't take it. I took a video and I just made it the perfect picture. So utilizing that strategy works pretty well too. And that can go for your classroom, taking a test. I really think I like Jackie's idea too of your video. If you're teaching through it, video it. And then at the end, you can take that video, go through and take pictures out of that lecture. And that can be what you're using on your test. And you know, they saw it because you taught it. It was during that 30 minutes. And so if they fell asleep, shame on them. So that'd probably been me. Shame on me. But yeah, and I'm open to any ideas. So if you guys come up with some brilliant idea and you want us to figure out how to make it work, I have learned over the last couple of years that anything's possible. Literally anything's possible. And so if you don't ask, we can't work on it.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jackie.
Nice
Jackie,
to meet you.
where do you say home was? New York? Is that what you said?
Yep. Catskill Mountains of New York.
Catskill Mountains. All right. Haven't been there yet, so maybe I'll come up and see you.
Oh, definitely. Stop by.
All right, perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Jess, you got anything else? You think we'll wrap it up?
I think we're good to wrap it up. And thank you
Okay.
so much for your time and for
My
the
pleasure.
very thorough explanation and the demonstration. It was great to be able to see it actually in use,
Right.
instead of just talking about it. So
Sure.
thank you. And we hope we'll see you in Philly.
Oh,
So-
we will. I'll be there. So AVT 2210. And I
Mhm.
saw it on the screen. Jess put it up there on the chat. That's the code for 10% off and then 10% kickback to AVTE for our scholarship we're going to fund. And then if anybody's interested in doing something individually, we will most definitely do that as well.
Perfect. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
You guys have a great day. Thank you.